Let's start seated today. And you can begin by finding any comfortable seat. Maybe sitting up on a prop. So that you can find a little bit of space at the front of the pelvis. A nice tall spine. And just begin by arriving, feeling where you are touching the floor. And beginning to trust into that support. You might choose to bring hands, if it's comfortable, a hand to the chest, to the belly. Some other really nice options for kind of self soothing touch might be the sides of your face, holding kind of encouraging the jaw to soften. Even the forehead and the back of the head is another really nice way to hold oneself. You can just start to feel with your eyes open or closed, whatever is comfortable, just feeling into the support from the floor and the support from your hands. Yeah. And just take a few breaths in this way. You might start to practice samavriti, meeting your inhalation and exhalation in an equal rhythm. Good. We'll move through a restorative practice today to ground the nervous system. Of course, all of the movements we'll practice are optional, but I hope that they'll be restful and nourishing. If you find that sitting in a seated meditation or lying down in savasana or experimenting with this self-soothing touch is inspiring to you, you know what, by all means. Let's begin by exploring some sound. We'll chant Om 9 times in succession. The first 3 will be a full voice. So feeling the 3 syllables of sound traveling up through your belly, your chest, finally up at your palate, in your nose, and in your face. The second 3 will be slightly softer, quieter kind of vibration. And the last 3 will be silent. So let's try this. You're welcome to bring your hands wherever you'd like, maybe joining palms together at the center of your chest. And we'll begin with a deep breath in through the nose. Great. And when you feel ready, you can make your way to hands and knees. And you can begin to move through cat and cow with your own breath rhythm. Perhaps noticing the effect of having vibrated sound kind of massaging through the inside of the body, vibrating, literally vibrating air through the body. Any kind of effect or afterglow that you feel as you begin to move your spine through cat and cow. You might even feel inspired to keep making sound, and that's super, super welcome, of course. Or even just letting the lips fall open as you exhale, sighing out any sound, any breath. Good. Inhaling, reaching the heart forward in between your arms. Exhaling, rounding the spine, puffing up in between the shoulders. Perhaps the next time that you exhale with a long, smooth exhalation, you can arch your back through cat pose and move all the way back to halasana, child's pose. And perhaps you take a breath or two in child's pose with your forehead softly on the floor, feeling that same slight pressure that maybe you were giving yourself with your hands earlier, allowing that to come from the floor as a reminder to soften the muscles of the face, soften around the eyes, and also to soften the brain, to soften the mind, its thought processes. We'll aim to move into the parasympathetic nervous system, so that rest and digest system. You might intend now to allow thoughts to fall to the wayside a little bit, just for a while. In this kind of humble forward bow that you're in, you might feel a sense of reverence or a giving over to the wisdom of the body. And then when you're ready, come on up to force. Inhaling, reaching the heart forward. Exhale, tuck your toes and send your hips up and back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Of course, keeping your knees bent as much as you want. Inhale here, feeling yourself getting long through the sideways as you press the floor away with the hands. And then on your next exhalation, you can softly lower the knees to the floor and sink back to Balasana, child's pose. Slow, smooth exhale takes you all the way back. Then on your next inhalation, you can come up to fours. Exhale back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. Take a nice inhalation in downward dog, feeling into the shape, maybe lengthening the heels down towards the floor. And then exhale, lower the knees to the floor, moving back to Balasana. You might find that you want to stay in one of these shapes for a round of breath or two. That's cool too. You can continue with this vinyasa, inhaling up to fours, exhaling back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhaling, staying in down dog, feeling into the shape, then exhaling down and back, Balasana. You might still be encouraging your breath to follow that easy rhythm, that equal rhythm. You might feel this sense that the breath is telling you when it's time to move. The fullness of your inhalation is letting you know when it's time to then empty out and exhale, and vice versa. That moment of suspension at the bottom of the exhalation and that natural impulse to breathe back in again. So it tells you to move into the next shape. And then after a while, you can go ahead and stay in downward facing dog, maybe refining the shape a little bit, spreading the fingers really wide, stepping the feet to that perfect feeling distance where you can feel your feet and your hands evenly supporting you. Maybe bending the knees a lot to lift the seat even higher for just a moment. Feeling that length in the spine from tail to head, letting the neck go. And then keeping your spine elongated, start to sink your heels towards the floor or press the heels into the air behind you. And then you can walk your feet towards your hands or even jump your feet if you feel inspired to come into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Lovely, Andromeda. Yes. Bending your knees as much as you'd like, letting your head and neck hang, the sense of hanging from the tailbone. And then go ahead and take your feet a little wider, turning your toes out to the sides. And as if someone's tied a little weight to your tailbone, allow your knees to bend generously as you descend your tail down to Malasana, squat, garland pose. Yeah, like someone's just pulled your tail down. As a result, your head, your collarbones, everything floats up. You can press your hands together in front of your chest and use your elbows to slightly move your knees out. External rotation in the hips. You might feel like you want to shift kind of side to side, or maybe lift your heels off the floor and press them into a folded blanket. Let it be really easy. Good. And then in Malasana, go ahead and bring your right hand down to the floor. Bring your left hand to your chest, and we'll just take a really, really gentle twist here. So your feet are both still grounded, your right hand's on the floor, your left hand is on your chest, and give yourself a little pressure as if you're pulling or dragging the skin of the chest over towards your left. Just a tiny twist. Notice that your face is soft. Good. And then just change sides, bringing your left hand down, bring your right hand to your chest, and just suggesting that the chest turn a little bit towards the right. And then just come back to center Malasana, feeling now into your feet, wherever you're touching the floor. Whether you're pressing your feet into blankets, whether your heels are lifted or grounded, whether you have a block underneath your seat or a folded blanket underneath your seat, there's so many ways to find the essence of this pose, which is grounding. It can be. I'll invite you to find what is grounding about this shape. You might feel a release around the pelvic floor or invite that sense of an opening at the base of your spine. Ah. And let your face be soft. Let your mouth fall open. You can allow sound here. Ah. Yeah. Ah. In your own time, when you feel like it, just come to a seat. You can do this so many ways. You can just sit back onto the floor if you feel like you can do that safely. You can rock forward and come to fours and then bring yourself into Sukhasana, cross-legged seat. Yeah, just arriving here, noticing what is here. Noticing that sensation and allowing it to be just a sensation. Feel here where you're touching the floor, where you feel supported, where you feel held. Tapping into a sense of safety. Noticing what your sense of safety is, what you can feel with your senses, what puts you in the space that you're in. And then either staying in Sukhasana or maybe coming into Agni Stambhasana, stacking one shin on top of the other. Whatever's easy, whatever allows you to sit tall. And we'll just take a forward fold here, a little hips opener and forward fold. So reaching the heart forward over the shins, walking the spine forward, drawing the chin in towards the throat to keep everything nice and long. Finding, if it's gone away, finding that equal length breathing. Finding the expression of this shape in the body that you're in the moment that you're in. This is a forward fold, a cooling expression. There might be, like in Balasana, a sense of reverence, bowing. You might also feel this activation perhaps around the lower two chakras, maybe some fluidity waking up in the hips. As you reach the heart forward, see if you can direct the sitting bones back towards the floor, lengthening the low back. Kind of activating the root once again. And then when you're ready, just walk yourself back up. We'll change sides to just bring the other shin in front or the other shin on top, depending on if you're in Sukhasana or Agni Stambhasana. Always beginning by finding where you're touching the floor, finding your grounding, perhaps locating your seat on the floor. From there, starting to walk yourself forward, getting as long as you can before finally bowing the face down. You can rest it on the floor, you could rest it on a prop, you could let it sort of suspend in the air. Feeling how the breath moves in this shape. Feeling if sound or vibration wants to express itself here. Tuning into these lower chakra centers, the root, the base of the spine, the seat, even the soles of your feet. If they're somewhere nearby where you can touch them with your hands, that can be really nice to kind of high five your own feet, just placing a hand on your own foot. Give it a soft massage. This is the root chakra, our sense of grounding, yeah, our sense of stability, safety. And as well, the second chakra, svadhisthana, the low belly, the sexual organs, the depths of the pelvic bowl, the depths of our creative kind of flow, the emotional center, the emotional kind of stuff in the hips. Just sending breath and attention there to these two places. This really encapsulates the whole lower body and indeed starts to kind of fill one up, fill into the heart space, fill into the shoulders, the low back. We can't really define, chop ourselves up into these different centers and say that all the emotions are in the hips. Of course, they travel, right? And when you're ready, just go ahead and walk yourself up once again. And we'll come to Dandasana. So extending your legs out long. I can do this one too. I'm going to sit up on a blanket just because it helps me to sit up tall. Extending your legs long. Reaching your heels out, flexing your feet back, especially the pinky toes. And feeling, even though you're lifting up out of the waist, the fronts of the groins are soft, the belly's soft. And then drag your left heel in towards your seat and bring your left foot to stand. So it'll just slide right up. Yeah, as close or as far away as feels good to you. And then check back in that you can sit, that you feel you're rooted, you're stable, you're upright. Then you can reach your right fingertips forward and up, lengthening through the right side. And then as you exhale, we'll twist towards the bent leg. You can either hook that right arm kind of to hug that left knee in towards you, or you could bring the right elbow inside of the left knee to kind of give yourself a little lever. The other hand can come behind you just to give you a little bit of support. Fingertips on the floor, yeah. As you inhale, feel yourself getting tall from the sitting bones all the way up through the crown of the head. Find your chin drawing in a little bit towards your chest, towards your throat, just so that you keep your head right on top of your spine. With each inhalation, feel yourself getting nice and tall. With each exhalation, you might feel your twist deepening. This might mean literally moving into a deeper twist and more of a twisty twist. It might mean twisting maybe higher up in the spine, turning the gaze to look over the back shoulder. I'll offer too, though, that a deeper twist might just mean longer breaths, fuller attention. One more breath here. And then go ahead and unwind. Bring yourself back to Dandasana. Your knees straight or maybe even a little bent if that's more comfortable. Feel the front of the belly release. Feel the fronts of the hips release. And then when you're ready, we'll change sides, dragging that right heel in towards the pelvis. Continue to activate and flex through the left foot. Find yourself upright, grounded first. Find both sitting bones on the floor. Find your shoulder blades sliding down your back. Your chest is open, your face is soft. Then you'll reach the left fingertips forward and up, getting really long and tall. And then as you exhale, you'll come to twist on this side, either hugging that right knee in towards you, maybe hooking the elbow on the opposite side. And here, as you inhale and you feel yourself tall, as you exhale and you deepen your twist, I'd like to invite your attention towards your solar plexus, towards that place that you're twisting around. Face can be nice and soft. Noticing that third chakra space right underneath your ribs. Feeling that that's where you're compressing, that you're twisting around. So as we unwind, eventually, a flood of life, a flood of light, of electricity, of sensation will move to this place. Twists, we say, are detoxifying. This is because they stimulate where, digestion happens. And I like to think of digestion not only with food, but with experiences, digesting sensory info we've taken in and need to make sense of. Body sense, not the logical sense, not the storytelling sense. Yeah. Softening around the shoulders, softening around the face, and concentrating this powerful twist around the center of you, your solar plexus. And then when you feel ready, you can unwind. Take a moment in Dandasana. You might return to one of these self holds, bringing a palm to the chest, a palm to the forehead. The back of the head is really nice as well. Any combo of these. There's a sense of your hand touching you and also you touching your hand. I feel the skin of my palm touching my face. I feel the skin of my face caressing my palm. And when you're ready, you can come to lie down with your feet standing. So feet are on the floor, knees are lifted up towards the ceiling. And see that you have enough space behind you where you could extend your arms overhead, if that's possible. Have enough space in between your feet where you feel like you're supported, where you feel like your knees can balance easily. And then as you inhale, feel the breath moving into the lower belly and then filling up into the upper chest. So kind of as if you're pouring water. Your breath is this water you're pouring. It's hitting the bottom first and filling you up, glug, 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 all the way to the top, the collarbones. As you exhale, you can bring the belly towards the spine and move the breath up and out through the nose, almost as if you're shooting it out through the crown of your head. This is known as abdominal breathing. Of course, all breathing is happening in the abdomen, but it's focusing the action of breathing towards the low belly rather than the upper chest. And on your next inhalation, as you fill up the low belly, the middle belly, the chest, you can start to lift your tailbone up towards your knees, sliding your knees easily forward, coming up into a little Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, a little bridge pose. And then exhale, rolling back down, sequencing through the spine, coming back down to bring the tailbone long on the floor. And moving in and out of Setu Bandha Sarvangasana with your breath. So letting your whole inhalation take you up into a bridge pose, then your whole exhalation bring you back down. And take care to keep your face looking up towards the ceiling, your chin tucked in towards your throat, so avoid moving your head from side to side. You might decide to add an arm movement to coordinate with the movement of your pelvis and your spine. So as your pelvis lifts, your spine starts to peel off the floor. You might reach your arms up and overhead, bringing the backs of the hands to the ground. Feeling that last bit of filling up into the collarbones and the armpits, and then exhale, bring the hands back down as you lower the spine and the pelvis back down. And see how smoothly you can move the pelvis with the arms, so that the backs of the hands touch the floor as you feel full, as you come into bridge pose, and then the hands touch back down as you empty back out. A few more times, just like this, inhaling, feeling that distance between your legs and your collarbones, or your knees and your collarbones getting so long, the front of your body getting so long. Exhaling, as you come down, you still feel spacious at the front of the hips, spacious in the front of the chest. You're just lowering the pelvis down, letting everything kind of follow. And then we'll take a little kind of dynamic Apanasana variation. So next time you exhale, just come back down to having your pelvis on the floor, your hands by your sides. Feel the two sides of your pelvis on the ground, your two heels on the ground, your two shoulder blades. And then as you inhale, you'll bring just your arms up overhead. Inhale, fill up lower belly, bottom of the ribs, upper ribs, armpits, upper collarbones. And then as you exhale, lower your arms to your sides as you bring your knees in towards your chest. So you're turning into kind of like a little, almost like an Apanasana. Good. As you inhale, bring your arms up overhead and extend your heels towards the ceiling. So your legs will come into kind of like an L shape as your arms come up. And then exhale, lower your arms by your sides as you bend your knees in towards your chest. Next inhalation, you'll inhale your arms up overhead as your feet come down to the floor. Yeah, getting really long through the front body. As you exhale, bring your hands down to your sides. Pull your knees in towards your chest. You can energize through your feet, flexing your feet. Good. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead as you press your heels to the ceiling. Good. Exhale, bring your hands down by your sides as you hug your knees in towards your chest, bending your knees. Feeling this gathering in and down. Good. Inhale your arms up overhead as you bring the soles of your feet back to the floor. Knees stay bent. You just lower your feet to the floor. Yeah. Good. Again, exhale. Bring your knees in towards your chest as you lower your arms to the sides. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead as you reach your heels up towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower your arms to your sides as you hug your knees in towards your chest. Inhale your arms up overhead as you bring the soles of the feet to the floor. And then just take a moment and rest. You can bring your hands anywhere on your body that feels comfortable. You could bring them to your sides. You could come to savasana to rest. You might imagine your skeleton laying on the floor. You might imagine this incredible muscle deep, deep in the abdomen that connects those three lower chakras areas. It begins at your low back, connects to your spine. So at your vertebrae right underneath your ribs, it's the psoas muscle connects to your low ribs, right under, or sorry, your low back, your spine, right underneath your ribs. It then moves to the front of the pelvis, moves down through the bowl of the pelvis, past and through, and at the core, really, of that second chakra, svadhisthana. And then attaches at the inner thigh bone. You may know this already. You've studied anatomy, but isn't that a trip? That there's a muscle that connects your leg to your back? Do you know that your leg starts in your back? And what is right there too? Your diaphragm. So this incredible communication that happens with your breath. So when you're feeling easy and you're breathing easy, this muscle knows, okay, we're good. When the breath gets hurried and tense, the legs get ready to run. Isn't that incredible? So I'd like to just take this sequence again to celebrate this deep, deep core muscle. Just bring your feet to standing. If it's comfortable for you, you can bring your hands to the fronts of your hip flexors. We can't feel the psoas because it's so deep, really. But you can bring your hands to the front of the pelvis or the front of your groin, kind of. And through your hands, you can invite that area to soften. It's kind of a suggestion from your hands. Hey, maybe soften. It's okay. There's a sense of safety here. You can soften. Inhale, fill up the belly with breath. Let the breath move up through the chest, up into the collarbones. As you exhale, let the breath move out of the belly and let the groin stay soft. At the bottom of your exhalation, just lift your right knee in towards your chest. Let your right ankle be kind of floppy. Just lift your right foot off the floor at the bottom of your exhalation. Yeah, you might use your low belly to do this. And then you can just let that right foot just flop back down to the floor. It could float, it could bounce, it could stomp, whatever. Inhale, fill up the belly, fill up the middle of the chest, fill up the armpits, the collarbones, everything expands. And then exhale, let everything out, bringing the low belly to the spine. At the bottom of the exhalation, just weightlessly, magically lift the other foot off the floor. Imagine you have just no muscles doing anything. It's just kind of like a puppet string lifting your knee, and then just let that foot fall to the floor. How easily can you do this? At the bottom of each exhale, you'll alternate, kind of just stepping one foot, floating it, almost like swinging it off the floor, and then letting it descend. If you must use a muscle, you can imagine that it's your belly doing this. Yeah. There's a puppeteer just pulling one knee string up and letting it go down and pulling the other one. Good. On your next inhalation, as you fill up with breath, keep your fronts of your legs soft and lift your hands up and overhead, extending the front body. Let the curve in the low back stay pretty natural, so not overextending it. As you exhale, bring your arms to your sides and let those puppet strings of your knees pull your knees in towards your chest. Easy, easy. Yeah. And then as you inhale, the puppeteer will bring strings to the heels. The heels will rise to the ceiling as your arms lift up overhead. As you exhale, your arms will move down by your sides as your as your knees bend and your knees come in towards your chest. Beautiful. As you inhale, your arms will move up, your wrists will move up overhead, and your feet will just float down to the floor. Exhale, move your arms to the sides as you move your knees in towards your chest. Your knees, which are connected to your back. Wow. Not directly, but pretty close. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Allow your heels to float up towards the ceiling. Extending those legs, which start in your back. Whoa. Exhale, bring your knees in towards your chest as you lower your hands to the sides. And then inhale, reach your arms up overhead as you lower your feet to the floor. And then when you're ready, you can bring your knees both in towards your chest. You can come into a true Apanasana. Perhaps keeping with you that sense of softness at the fronts of your thighs. Even though your feet are, or your legs are in flexion, your hips are bending, your knees are bending, inviting the sense of space at the base of you. And then you can move your knees over to one side, coming into a twist. So if your knees are going over to the right, your left shoulder will descend to the floor. Maybe your left arm will get long. Notice the base of the spine, the sacrum, the pelvis heavy on the floor. Notice breath moving through this compressed third chakra area. The psoas is an incredible muscle because it is what attaches the upper body and the lower body. And as we know, in yoga, connects these three vital energy centers, which all work together. And we know this intuitively. We know this thing of like, oh, I feel it in my gut. I don't know. I don't know. This feels good. This feels not good. We know it in the tightness in the hips. Oh, why are my hips so tight? Or what is that emotion in my hips? The diaphragm, the psoas communicating together, telling the hips things are stressful. We gotta run soon. Like it's amazing. So by breathing through this space and offering these slow, kind of restorative, repetitive movements, we're releasing the psoas deep underneath all of our belly muscles, deep under the hip muscles. We're telling our body that we're safe, that we're good. We're allowing maybe something to be wrung out in this twist, something that's beyond kind of cognition. When you're ready, you can move your knees over to the other side, allowing gravity to twist you the other way. Gravity taking your knees one way, your opposite shoulder the other way. And let your breath be continuing in that rhythm. Or you can just let it be released, relaxed, easy, natural. Feeling breath, energy, attention moving through the base of the spine, the low belly, the hips, and this place that you're twisting around, your center. Maybe imagining that on each exhalation, something can flow out down your extended arm, through your fingertips, out and away. And likewise, maybe pouring out through the tips of your toes, away from that center place, away from wherever it's been held. Flowing out like water. Maybe sound wants to go with it. And then when you're ready, you can bring yourself back to center. Back to Apanasana. I'll invite you now to find some wall space if it's available to you, or you don't need wall space. We're gonna do legs up the wall or legs up the bed or legs up the nothing, legs up the air. And the other suggestion I'll offer is to have a chair or a stack of books or a block a few inches or a couple feet really above your head. This is preparation for halasana if you feel like taking halasana. This will be like your landing place for your toes if you're thinking ahead. So the block will be a few feet away from your head and you'll be laying. I can kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. This is my chair that I'm going to use. Maybe this is where I'm doing my legs up the sofa. And I've got a chair behind me so that in a moment after we've done our legs up the wall, if you choose, you can bring yourself up into shoulder stand and then drop your toesies down onto a chair or blocks or something, or the floor to come to halasana. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So we'll first come to Viparita Karani, legs up the whatever, Allow the weight of the legs to drop down through into the pelvis. You could imagine that you need no muscles to keep these legs up, that they are just suspended. Feel the back body on the floor, beginning with the pelvis. It's kind of our theme for the day, I guess. Everything beginning in the pelvis. Feeling the back of the pelvis on the floor. Feeling the two shoulder blades on the floor. Feeling the back of the head on the floor and maybe drawing your chin in a little bit towards your throat to keep your back of your neck really long. It might also be nice to bring something underneath the head. I guess I should have said earlier, but ease in the fronts of the hips, ease in the low belly. Imagining this draining of energy down from the feet, down the legs, washing away. And then if you would like to, you can transform this Viparita Karani into a shoulder stand or not. And then you can move into a halasana, plow pose after a breath or a million or not. You can be anywhere in between those three. Viparita Karani, a shoulder stand, maybe coming back into halasana. Knees can be bent, toe tips can touch onto the floor or a block or a book or a chair. Again, just keeping in mind to keep the face looking straight up towards the ceiling. In halasana, you can, of course, support your back with your hands. You could extend your arms on the floor and breathe into this space, opening at the back of the shoulders and the back of the low back. And then when you feel ready to move out of halasana, you can roll yourself back down to apanasana or bring your feet back down to the floor to come to rest. You're welcome to stay in halasana as long as you feel inspired to. This is one of those shapes that, to me, the longer it's held, it's like, but wait, there's more. More space to breathe, more kind of unknown, undiscovered territory in the upper, middle, back, and shoulder blades. So feel free to explore as long as you want. And then when you're ready, you can come to Apanasana. Take any other shape that's calling to you. Maybe resting in Apanasana, Viparita Karani, or Shavasana. Allowing this last portion of our practice to be super open-ended, super up to your creativity and your sense of what you need to nurture yourself. We've maybe tapped into some kind of deeper intuition. So whatever you feel like is the right thing to do, that's the right thing to do, always. You might notice how the breath is interacting with the body now. Hmm. You can continue to invite thoughts and narratives to release themselves as they come in. You can invite them to just pass on through. And I'll invite you to rest here in this resting pose, whatever you've chosen, or moving into savasana when you feel ready, for as long as you'd like. Just giving the body space to heal itself. Giving the body space to digest what needs to be digested, to nourish itself with whatever nutrients are here, and allowing yourself to release that which is ready to be released. In a moment, I will chant a final Om to close our practice, and then I'll leave you to it. The time is 5:36 right now, Pacific time. Thank you both so much for being here. It's been a gift. We'll inhale through the nose to chant. Thank you to this ancient practice and all of its teachers. Thank you to this awareness of being in these bodies. Thank you both. Peace, peace, peace.